Canucks get snowed under in Denver, falling 3-1 to the Avalanche. Let's break it down. This is Rink Wide Vancouver. We welcome you inside the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studios. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. It was the Colorado Avalanche 3, the Vancouver Canucks 1. This is Rink Wide Vancouver. I'm Jeff, he's Irf, and somebody forgot to check Nathan MacKinnon. That's not the way you wanted to play against this Avalanche team. Like, the Canucks were game. No shame in losing to the Avs. Everybody, it seems, loses to the Colorado Avalanche, but you just can't let Nate the Great hang around in front of the net untouched. It happened late in the first period. It happened again late in the second period. And in between, Brock Nelson got in behind the defense, and he scored as well. 3-1 as the Avs rally from an early deficit. Just the ninth time all season, Irf, that the opponents have opened the scoring against this Colorado team. They can beat you just about any way and every way possible. And it was a decent start for the Canucks. Linus Karlsson opens the scoring less than 3 minutes in. They get the jump. They're up 1-0, but that was it for the scoring. And that's now becoming an issue for this hockey club that went 1-2-1 on the road trip and scored a grand total of 4 goals over the last 3 games.
Yeah, the last time you and I did this, Linus Karlsson scored, and he scored again in this hockey game. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Nathan MacKinnon is very good at hockey. I think that is the obvious, as are the Colorado Avalanche. But for the Vancouver Canucks point of view, I mean, I think that, we're going to get to our Bet365 line a little bit later on in the show, but the odds makers gave them no chance in this hockey game. And the first period, they were okay. They get out to that lead, and then the end of the first period, it was it. It was the Nathan MacKinnon show, and then it quickly became, in that second period, the Avalanche, and it was all Avalanche for the rest of the hockey game.
Yeah, I didn't mind the first period, and I didn't mind the third period either. I mean, the Canucks were up against it at that point, down 2 at the end of the road trip. But you're right, for me, it was that second period. They get outshot 12-4, looked like they were just holding on for dear life. All the scoring chances coming in the Vancouver end, and Brock Nelson gets in behind the Canuck defenders on what turns out to be the game-winning goal. Filip Hronek pinches. All right, he gambled and he lost, but the Canucks still looked like they were in pretty decent position in the neutral zone. I didn't love the way Quinn Hughes played the 2-on-1. And Max Sasson, whose best gift at this level is his speed, just stopped skating. And like, Brock Nelson doesn't pull away from a lot of guys, but he was able to get a step on Max Sasson, and he snaps it past Kevin Lankinen as we watch it here again on the live stream. And so that's the danger against Colorado. You let up for a second. You stop skating for a stride, and they get behind you. They had all sorts of chances in that second period. So Nelson, his 9th of the year at 13:52, and then, as we said, with 34 seconds to go in the period, it was Nathan MacKinnon, some chaos in the Canucks end. Kiefer Sherwood, who had a bit of a rough night, and we'll talk more about that as we go. But I think MacKinnon was supposed to be Sherwood's guy, and as we said, you just can't let Nathan MacKinnon find that soft spot on the ice, put it in his wheelhouse, one-timer, bam, it's past Kevin Lankinen, and at that point the Avs are off and running. They didn't need any more offense. They didn't get any. Nobody scored after that one, and it goes into the books as a 3-1 final. Yeah,
and look, I think there were moments in the first period, and maybe even a little bit of the second, like you mentioned, that the Canucks showed some life, but in the end, like, you give the Colorado Avalanche a 1-goal lead, you give the Colorado Avalanche a 2-goal lead, they're not looking back. And on a team where it really struggles to generate offense anyway, they can't. You look to the power play to try and give you something. Didn't do it there. You looked at your 5-on-5 play to try and generate anything, a semblance of some sort of offense. You couldn't do it there. They lost Evander Kane in the late stages of the game. Hope he's okay. See what happens in that. They were without Connor Garland, so the injury list also keeps on piling up for this team as well. Lock Brock Besser for a moment there. Yeah. He was able to come out at the end of the game as well. So we'll see what happens with some of these injury updates as well. But tough sledding for the Vancouver Canucks, and they're going through it right now.
Rink Wide brought to you in part by Bet365, and we want to hear from you. We'll continue to do what we always do here on the Postgame live stream, and that is break it down, give you our thoughts, but we want to hear from you as well. about this hockey game, about the state of this team, about all the trade talk that is swirling around this group. Anything goes. Hit us up with a super chat. Our charity partner again this season, the BC Mental Health Foundation, changing the face of mental health and addiction by supporting breakthroughs in care, public understanding, research, and knowledge exchange. So you're supporting a good cause if you bring it with a super chat, and it'll get you to the top of the queue. All right. So we mentioned the fact the Canucks had just the one win on the road trip. Road trip started with a victory in Anaheim. Went to San Jose. They lost there, outplayed the Sharks, but lost the special teams battle. Went to L.A., but pretty much a coin toss in a low-event game, but lost in overtime there. And here, again, opened the scoring, but that was it for the offense. And so the Canucks go 1-2-1 on the road trip, or if they're 1-5-1 in their last 7 hockey games. And October was a nice start, 6-6 through the month of October, but the slide began in November, and they opened December here with a loss in Colorado. And again, everybody, it seems, loses to the Avs except for the Minnesota Wild the other day, who beat them in a shootout and snapped Colorado's 10-game win streak. But since then, Colorado's bounced back, hammered the Habs on Saturday, and starting another win streak here. They beat the Canucks by a score of 3-1. So the Canucks are now 10-14-3. 27 games into the season, and that's significant because 27 times 3 is 81. So this is essentially a third of the way. Like, nobody can sit here and say it's still early, now into the third month of the schedule, and the Canucks are retreating in the standings. And Nashville did a number on Calgary earlier tonight. Nashville and the Flames both have 22 points now. The Canucks have 23. The Canucks are a single point out of the NHL basement as they begin the month of December.
But they are where they deserve to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes you and I sit here and we do this show quite often. Obviously, you do it after every single game, and there are performances where this team flat out didn't show up. They show up for 20 minutes, they show up for 40 minutes. Putting this game aside, it's the Colorado Avalanche, but there are other nights where games are gettable for this hockey team, and effort hasn't been there. Execution hasn't been there. We look to the stars of this team. They haven't shown up on some nights. And then what do they rely on? A goaltender who can't stay healthy. The backup goaltender who they would thought that could be a number one if they really needed to is now proving that he really isn't a number one goaltender. It's just a comedy of errors for the Vancouver Canucks and things that have gone wrong, and it's tough to see. And then you have the president saying that we're open for business now a week ago. So there's a lot of stuff going around the Vancouver Canucks, and unfortunately for them, the losses just keep on piling up.
Yeah, I'm not going to pin this one on Kevin Lankinen.
No, neither am I.
McKinnon, 2 wide open looks, as we said. The rebound that P.O. Joseph, I don't know what he's doing. In the final minute of the first period, you got a 1-0 lead. Just get it to the dressing room up 1-0, and P.O. Joseph loses the wrong guy, the best player in the National Hockey League. And McKinnon able to swat in the backhand there. And so the good work that the Canucks had done. And really, they opened the scoring, and then Colorado had its only power play of the night. They were zipping it around. At one point, the shots were 12-3 for the Avs. But I thought once the Canucks got through and killed off that penalty to Marcus Pettersson, they were able to stem the tide, and actually Sherwood had the breakaway with about 7.5 to go in the first period. Jake DeBrusk got in behind the defense and had a pretty good look on the backhand. He couldn't convert. There were a couple of other chances in there as well. I didn't mind the final 10 minutes of the first period, except for the one miscue. And it was McKinnon there for his first of 2 on the night, 19-23. Late in the first period, ties the game at 1. And then, as we have said a couple of times now, 3-1 was the final score. All right, I want to get to the 3 stars. They're brought to you by Greta Bar, and there's word coming that another Canucks Army viewing party sometime this month. We're working on the final details, but hopefully you'll be able to join us. Always a good time at Greta. It's a great spot for the watch parties. We always have fun there. Terrific staff, great atmosphere, game day specials, both food and drink, and of course all those arcade games as well. A ton to do at Greta. It is the place to be. Greta, 50 West Cordova Street, Greta Bar. Let the games begin. 3 stars in the building. Mm-hmm. Clean sweep for the Avs. Sure, no real issue there. Nathan McKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog, and Brock Nelson. So the goal scorers and the captain. We've got Nate the Great, and he really is. First guy to 22, so he leads the NHL in goals, leads the NHL in points. But remember, back on the 9th of November, he was in on all 5 Colorado goals in the 5-4 overtime win against the Canucks. Only scores 2 of the 3 here. You do the math. He's been in on 7 of the 8 goals. He's scored 4 of the 8. Pretty much unstoppable so far this season against the Canucks. The good news for Vancouver, they only have to see him one more time, and it isn't until early April, so they can worry about other things. They don't have to lose a whole lot of sleep over Nate McKinnon, who just continues to steamroll. The National Hockey League here, first star, 2 goals on 6 shots. Landeskog, they're happy to have him back, chipping away and chipping in here. A couple of primary assists. He's the guy that springs Nelson and then, again, does some good work to find McKinnon in that soft spot on the ice late in the second period. So Gabriel Landeskog throwing in a block shot for good measure. He is the second star. And of the Canucks, credit where it's due, Linus Karlsson, that was 5 goals on the season. Evander Kane's got 5 goals on the season. One guy's played on the top line and been on the power play. The other guy barely gets 10 minutes of ice time a night, and Linus Karlsson is feeling it. He's got 5 goals. His 5 goals on the season have come in the last 11 games. He's scored in both the games against the Colorado Avalanche. So give Linus Karlsson credit. Now, he did get promoted, and rightly so. I think this was a good coaching move by Adam Foote. You're down the third period. You got one guy that's feeling it right now. Why not give him an opportunity to play? I don't think he's a long-term answer with Elias Pettersson, but I had no issues whatsoever, and it got his ice time up to 16 minutes and 49 seconds. Karlsson scores on one of his 2 shots on goal. He had a couple of hits as well. And on the goal, those soft hands, we've seen it from Linus Karlsson. He had the between-the-legs goal.
Yeah.
The last time, actually, that was against Colorado. This time, and they broke it down in the television intermission, and it did look like a set play. It starts with a face-off just outside the Canucks zone. Aatu Räty wins it back to Quinn Hughes, and I think the Avs, they're on high alert. Quinn Hughes has the puck. What's going to happen here? He could have gone D-to-D to Filip Hronek. Instead, he goes right up the middle to Räty, who, nifty little bump pass over to Baines on the wing, and Archie Baines streaking in, and Karlsson gets away from Parker Kelly. We talked about Max Sasson losing his check. Same sort of thing happened there. And Karlsson was able to get in behind Parker Kelly and goes to the backhand, deposits the puck behind Scott Wedgwood. And I mentioned Scott Wedgwood because that's the story in this hockey game as well. He didn't finish the game. He got the start, but he doesn't get the decision either. He came out of this game when it was tied 1-1 midway through the second period, and we learned later that it was an upper body injury for Wedgwood. Did not return to the game, so we'll see about his status if we get any kind of update, but it's a Canucks post-game, so we won't worry too much about the Colorado Avalanche. They've got goaltending. They've got pretty much everything. Anyways, there you go. 3 stars here, brought to you by Greta Bar, Nathan McKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog, and Linus Karlsson. And again, I liked the finesse. Yep. I liked the hands. I've liked the month of November for Linus Karlsson. And again, when you look at what he's doing in limited opportunities, not a surprise that he was a guy that earned a few more shifts here as this game went along.
Well, he's the guy that they wanted from the beginning of the season to go and, grab a spot on this roster and take it. And it's taken him a little bit of time, but, 5 goals on the season, if you would have told us that he was going to have that and have it happen for him, I probably wouldn't have believed you. I thought that you'd be a good, solid, third and fourth line guy, earn your minutes and things like that. But now, rightfully so, getting promoted to the top line. I think that, for a guy that, I don't want to say feeling it, but he was the only one to score a goal in the game. He was skating well. Why not put him up there? And he was also on the ice on the 6-on-5 at the end of the game as well. So, Adam Foote clearly does trust him in those situations, especially to try and, generate a little bit more offense or, throw something at the wall and hope it sticks, right? And if it is Linus Karlsson, then maybe you can move him up in the lineup in a game or two. But for him, you hope that they can build on this. And for, I guess, a guy like Linus Karlsson, there's going to be a lot more games like this where they're not winning, where they aren't playing well. It's so early in the season, and you just don't want to see guys like this, younger guys, and I know he's played a bit, but develop habits that aren't good, where you stop skating, where you're not back checking, where you're not doing those things that, maybe guys that are getting paid a lot of money do or can afford to do. But for him, I think now, just prove that you have the effort every single night in and night out, and, you're going to get rewarded, and you saw him get rewarded here by the coaching staff.
So I mentioned the goaltending change. I just want to go back to that for a sec because at the time didn't know. Happened over a TV timeout. coming back, and boom, Mackenzie Blackwood now in goal for the Colorado Avalanche. Nobody knew where Wedgwood had gone. But we've seen this before, and it's not just the Canucks, although it seems like a very Vancouver kind of thing. You're in a 1-1 tie, you're hanging there, you're kind of hanging on at that point, but you get a goalie that comes in cold. No warm-up. Comes off the bench. How about you test him?
Yep.
Pepper him with a few shots. Officially, the Canucks had 2 shots the rest of that period on Mackenzie Blackwood. The first one was Kiefer Sherwood from like 1,000 yards away. Relatively easy save, and I had to look it up. The other one was Drew O'Connor in tight on basically a rebound, but it wasn't much of a scoring chance. And I just thought that was disappointing. Now, again, you have to have the puck to get shots on goal. In that second period, they didn't have the puck an awful lot, but that felt like a missed opportunity. Mackenzie Blackwood's an NHL goaltender. He knows that he's one knock away from having to get in there. This isn't a rookie, but it's a goalie coming in cold that probably thought he wasn't going to play tonight, and the least the Canucks could have done was make him make a few saves. So I thought that was disappointing. And obviously, Colorado scores twice. The Canucks get 2 shots on Mackenzie Blackwood. Colorado scores twice in the period after the goaltending change. And so you can look at a couple of things that were turning points in this hockey game, but I just thought that was really a squandered opportunity on the part of the Canucks.
Yeah, and I think that just there's a lack of offense right now from them. Like, you're up 1-0. You're only down 2-1. Everyone wrote you off in this hockey game. Like, you had no business winning going in. Everyone thinks you're going to lose anyways. But you're down 2-1 in a hockey game. They changed their goalie, and you come in and you don't try to do anything or try to generate any offense. Now, you credit the Colorado Avalanche a little bit, but you also have to try and create your own. Like, where's the Elias Pettersson shots? Where are the Brock Besser shots? Where are the Jake DeBrusk shots? Where are those coming from? Where are those? You don't need a Kiefer Sherwood shot from your own end of the ice to be the only thing that tests, Mackenzie Blackwood. But here we are. And then that's just something that you and I sit here, and I'm sure the coaching staff is angry at too, or whatever. It's just their inability to generate offense.
Well, you ask where the shots were. Kiefer Sherwood had 6 of the Canucks' 23 shots in this hockey game.
But other than the breakaway and the one from a million miles away, where were they?
Well, the other ones were from distance as well.
Yeah.
Quinn Hughes had 4 shots on 12 attempts. So Quinn doing what he does, putting a bunch of pucks to the net. Say a prayer tonight for Sam Malinsky. Just absolute ankle breaker in the third period. The Avs defenseman coming out high, thinking that he's got Quinn in his sights, and Quinn just absolutely put him on his butt. Again, we're kind of scratching for silver linings in this hockey game. It was fun. It's always fun to watch Quinn do that. The anticipated Makar-Hughes matchup didn't really materialize. Like, neither one of those guys figured in the scoring. Quinn, he played a ton because he always plays a ton, 29 minutes and 27 seconds. Makar, they were able to back him off, only played 23 minutes and 59 seconds, but neither one of them figures in the scoring in this hockey game. Sherwood had 6 shots on goal. Besser had 2. Elias Pettersson had 1. Jake DeBrusk had 1. And a rare night where Evander Kane has no shots on goal. So, yeah, top of the Canucks lineup, not getting it done, but now this is no longer an isolated. Remember when goal scoring wasn't the issue for this team? It was goal prevention.
Yep.
Well, they gave up 1 in regulation and lost the other night in Los Angeles. They hold this high-flying, highest-scoring team in the National Hockey League to 3 and still lose by 2. So the Canucks have 4 goals in their last 3 hockey games. That's a really difficult way to play, even though they're starting to limit their opponents. And this was supposed to be the blueprint, Irf. We talked about this all offseason and through the preseason. Quinn himself said, hey, we're not the most talented team. We're going to have to find other ways to win. I think he meant that, goaltending, a stiff defense, and grind out a few goals. Well, the first 2, they've been better here in the last week, but the offensive part of it now is becoming an issue. And I think we said this as well, that, when the power play, which was running ridiculously hot, when it kind of found its level again, goals were going to be hard to come by. And that's where we are, and that's one of the big reasons that the Vancouver Canucks have 1 win in their last 7 games.
I'm going to ask you something. There's a point in this hockey game, it's now making its circles, kind of online a bit, where a Quinn effort. where they were down 2-1 and the effort was not there on the back check at all. It didn't lead to a goal, but it was very JT Miller-esque. It didn't. Remember when JT did that and Mitch Marner ended up scoring and everyone was all over JT Miller? It was close. Like, that effort was it's not good enough from your captain. The captain and leader of this team, that effort was completely not good enough from Quinn Hughes. Where are you at with, I don't want to say effort, but where are you at with Quinn Hughes in his game right now?
Yeah, I mean, the last little while here, like 10 days ago, the guy had 10 assists in 3 games, and he was just making hockey look easy and making opponents look foolish. Since then, Quinn Hughes has 2 points in his last 6 hockey games, and we know that he is the engine for the Vancouver Canucks, the offensive engine. And so when he's not going, he just hasn't looked dialed. The San Jose game took a fair bit of criticism. I thought LA, he was all right. He played in season high. He played 30 minutes and 13 seconds on the back half of back-to-backs. Like, it's hard to ask a whole lot more. But in a game where there wasn't a ton of space to maneuver, he was held in check as his teammates were. And then here again tonight, he gets the third assist on the goal because he does make the nice headman pass to Ratu. It doesn't go into the books because there are no third assists. But other than that, and other than the spin move, the other thing that I've got noted here was in a 2-1 hockey game, walks into the slot late in the second period. It looked like he was in a prime position to shoot, and Brock Nelson was able to get back and lift his stick, and actually the Avs went back and generated a chance of their own. But yeah, I mean, there are nights where I have Hughes written down 10 times in my notes, and I mean, I think it speaks volumes that not a lot of Quinn Hughes plays that jump to mind that I felt that needed to be recorded in this hockey game. And as I said, this isn't sort of the Quinn Hughes that we know when he's dialed in and at his best. He has 2 points in his last 6 hockey games. So that's a bit of an issue. Kiefer Sherwood, who had the breakaway chance, one of the best chances for the Canucks, and boy, he scores there. 2-0 game? Who knows? We'll never know. He had lots of shots, but Kiefer Sherwood's now gone 7 games without a goal. Hasn't scored since the Tampa game when everybody was scoring that afternoon against the Bolts. And so
there are 2 guys right there in Kiefer Sherwood and Quinn Hughes that I think the noise is getting to them a little bit.
I thought Kiefer Sherwood was totally out of sorts in this hockey game. McKinnon drilled him in the first period.
He gave him that slash right
and
after.
then Devon Taves absolutely sent him flying as well. And then we talked about, the awareness on the third period, or the third goal. And even go back to overtime the other night. Like, I know a lot of people are harping on Petey falling down and turning the puck over, but Kiefer Sherwood comes flying in for no reason at that point. He gets trapped deep, and the Kings pass it past him and Pettersson, and they're off to the races 2-on-1, and ultimately they score the winner there. And so I think it's fair to wonder, like, is this stuff starting to get to Kiefer Sherwood? And you can totally understand. And first time in his career that he's been in trade talks, and
he's the hottest commodity in trade talks. Yeah,
like, you can't avoid it. I don't care if you can say you're not on social media.
Yeah.
You're hearing about what's going on. You're asking your friends are telling you, your agent, whatever. It does sort of look, and it's just an observation. But when you see a guy who has been so good for the Vancouver Canucks in his year and a half, or almost a half, 7 games without a goal now. And we knew he wasn't going to be as hot as he was in October. He scored 9 goals in October. Like, incredible start. He was tied for the league lead when he was scoring his 7th, his 8th, his 9th. Obviously now a guy like McKinnon is pulling away from everybody. But, and this is my fear. Like, if the Canucks are going to trade him, I know that, they say, there's no hurry here. Well, one, you don't want a distracted Kiefer Sherwood who's not helping the hockey club. And the other is, with the way this season's gone, Irv, like, how long till he gets hit by the injury bug?
The deadline's not till March 9th. And they've got an Olympic break, obviously, but there
are injuries elsewhere, like Palmieri on the island, Forster now in Philadelphia. Like, drive a market and get one of those teams to step up and find a guy that could absolutely fill a hole and be a replacement for either one of those guys that I just mentioned. Let's get to the stat that stands out. And then we got a super chat that I want to mention here. But our stat that stands out is always delivered by Uber Eats. And Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. Every time the Canucks are playing at home, you can get a buy one, get one 6-piece chicken McNuggets from McDonald's in Vancouver only on Uber Eats. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, or after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. Hashtag crave the stats. And the stat that stands out here is that this Vancouver Hockey Club has scored 13 goals now in its last 6 games. 5 of them came in that 5-4 win to start the road trip in Anaheim. So you do the math there. That's 5 in one game, and that leaves 8 in the other 5. It's way too difficult a league to think that you're going to have success if you're only scoring a goal here or a goal there, or on a good night now you're getting a couple. So yeah, defense was the issue through the first 20 games. They are slowly starting to hold their own defensively, and now they can't score. And so never quite know what you're going to get from the Vancouver Canucks, but through it all, wins have been so hard to come by. And, take a look at it. Like, this is 27 games in now. They have 10 wins on the season, but 4 of them come beyond regulations. They have 6 regulation victories through 27 games.
The most consistent part of their game is their inconsistency to create offense. You know what I mean? Yep. They're so good at not doing it, and then we'll go one game against the Anaheim Ducks, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, they're back! They can score a lot of goals." And then what happens? San Jose Sharks aren't a good hockey team. They trade goals with everybody all the time. The LA Kings, I can see them dumb it down a little bit and play their style, and they end up beating you. And then here, Colorado, okay, that's fair, but even then, there's nothing, not even on the power play. I get everything goes through Quinn Hughes and things like that, but you're not even just generating chances. You're not even giving us things to look at here after postgame shows and say, okay, even pulling back the curtain a bit, high danger chances. How many of the Canucks having? If you're having a lot of those and you think you're playing well and you're still not scoring goals, then there's something to build on. But even those numbers aren't even good enough.
Yeah, I mean, the underlying numbers here, Colorado controls 56.5% of all the shot attempts at 5-on-5, and the bulk of this game was played at 5-on-5. There was only one penalty each way. Colorado took a too many men on the ice penalty in the second period, so the Canucks didn't really even draw a penalty. Colorado, with a little miscalculation and an extra skater out there, and on that power play, Brock Besser looked like he had a golden opportunity, holding on to the puck side of the net and fired wide. Again, make the goalie make a save, but I know it's a fine line between picking corners, and he just missed the mark there. But looking at the underlying numbers, scoring chances 27-19 in favor of Colorado. The high dangers tell the story here, 11-4 overall, and Canucks had just one high danger in the third period. So down, you'd think score effects. Yeah, the Canucks outshoot the Avs in the third period, but through it all, don't do an awful lot to generate. And the expected goals on the night, Colorado at 2.27, Canucks at 1.49. So the Canucks were half a goal. Maybe they were due, but they weren't going to win with 2 goals because Colorado had 3. So, yeah, not a whole lot happening here. And again, I think this surprises some people. Like, the Avs are this high-flying team led by Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar, and Necas was held off the score sheet, but had some moments in this game. Colorado was also the best offensive team in the National Hockey League, in part because they don't give you the puck. And so they're hard to score on because they seemingly have the puck all the time. And so this game kind of goes according to form, that they get the goals they need, and they do a pretty nice job, putting the old boa constrictor around the Canucks here and holding them to just the 1 goal. Super chat from Free Petey. Thank you for your contribution to the BC Mental Health Foundation. Management, let's get younger. Coaching, let's play Joseph over DPD. Yeah, we talked about this on Saturday night. I know you weren't in, so certainly want to go down this road. In isolation, it was back-to-back on Saturday. In isolation, taking a young guy out, no issues. But when you're the 30th place team, I would rather DPD learn on the job, make some mistakes, live with those mistakes. I don't think he's been anywhere close to as good this year as he was when he burst onto the scene last year midway through the season. He's young. He's still learning. There's a ton of promise there. I like DPD now, and I think DPD can grow into a big part of what the Canucks are ultimately trying to put together here. I don't like the fact that he sat out for a second game, and he's practiced, so we're led to believe that this is a coaching decision. No indication that he's nicked up in any way. And then P.O. Joseph, the veteran, gets out there, and as we said, just spinning around while Nate McKinnon's going to town and punishing the Canucks. I didn't like the decision. Again, sit him out Saturday, fine. Put him back in the lineup. I mean, there's no better test in the National Hockey League than facing the Colorado Avalanche. I would have liked to have seen DPD back in the lineup tonight.
P.O. Joseph's played over 200 games in the National Hockey League, and every time he's played this season, it looks like it's been his first. And it's unfortunate because, you want to have a guy in your system or a guy that you can count on to go in and give you minutes on a night where you don't want to play, D. Elias Pettersson, or you don't want to play a guy like Victor Mancini, who, by the way, probably should get called up here at some point. Give the young guys a chance. Let them learn, like you said, on the job and be able to go and do that. If you're not getting anything out of a guy like P.O. Joseph, what's he doing? Why is DPD sitting upstairs in the press box eating popcorn? Like, what is the point of that?
Yeah, and again, not being out on the road here, like there were other issues. I'm guessing that this won't come up as a topic until Adam Foote gets home off the road, and we'll see what happens. Canucks will have the day off on Wednesday. They'll have a practice day on Thursday, and then they have back-to-back games here coming up on the weekend against Utah and the Minnesota Wild. So we'll see what the lineup looks like, but yeah, I mean, Tom Olander didn't play a lot in the third period. They're down. They're chasing the game. I understand that. He ends up with 13 minutes and 49 seconds. So that number's not offside. Joseph was the low man among the defense group. He plays 10 minutes and 42 seconds. And again, he didn't play much in the third period as well. Low ice time man on the night, Atu Ratu, who gets an assist on the Linus Karlsson goal. 9 minutes and 42 seconds of ice time, so not even 10 minutes for Atu Ratu. Mel in the chat says, always amazes me that hockey stars are left open. He says McKinnon and Draisaitl. It's true. Now, Draisaitl, part of that, everybody's watching McKinnon, and he's able to find the soft spots, or he's watching McDavid, and then 97 finds Draisaitl at the side of the net, but not tonight. Edmonton gets shut out by the Minnesota Wild, working their way here for the game on the weekend. I think they stop in Calgary before then. Minnie's on a heater, though. Look out for the Minnesota Wild. And Edmonton doesn't score a goal. Got shellacked at home last week by Dallas. Gave up a bunch here tonight. They only gave up one. But
they've lost 5 of their last 7 or something like that, too. Yeah.
So, it is surprising. You'd think that guys would have the spatial awareness, the defense, to know when the stars are out there and where they are. Bracket 1-4 says, Huggies floaters from the point are getting to be a little bit much. It was certainly an issue on Friday in San Jose when they went 0 for 8 on the power play. Again, we talked about the shot totals. 4 on net, 12 attempts. I know he's looking for deflections and hoping for screens and those types of things, but most of them are wrist shots that he's just kind of flinging. This isn't like he's shooting to score terribly often. We know he's worked on his shot, but I don't see that goal scorer's mentality. He's stuck on 2 goals. Carson Soucy got his 3rd of the year, for crying out loud, in the Rangers win over Dallas. Carson Soucy has more goals in December than Quinn Hughes does on the season, so just kind of chew on that for a sec. But, I would agree. Like, there has to be another way. And Quinn Hughes, we know what he can do when he's on. We've established that right now it doesn't look like he's at the top of his game, but I'm not sure that just kind of wildly and blindly throwing pucks to the net as often as he's doing is the answer for him or this hockey club.
Well, they don't have a guy big enough that's in front of the net. Both their guys are on the sides of the net. Jake DeBrusk right on the bottom corner, Brock Besser on the other side, and when Evander Kane was on that power play, he was in that same position. And, you've got a guy in Elias Pettersson that you want to try and get the shot to. And unfortunately, they're not. Everyone's just looking at Quinn Hughes and waiting for him to do something. And on a night where things aren't going well for him, and, that's happened on a lot more nights than not this season, just his game and his play and his points obviously do say that. They're just not going to be able to generate much offense when everyone's just standing and watching Quinn Hughes just fire pucks at the net.
And we got another super chat. This one's from 7 and 7, again supporting the BC Mental Health Foundation. So thank you for that. He says the one thing, I assume it's a he, I don't know, or she. The one thing I noticed during the empty net was Hughes ignoring Petey a couple of times when Petey was ready for the one-timer with his stick up again. Again, go back to San Jose on Friday. And how did the Sharks score? And it was 5-on-3, but they rotated, and they found William Eklund for the one-timer, left-handed shot on the right side of the ice. We noted in the first period, again, Colorado only had the one power play. They were able to find Nathan McKinnon for a one-timer. Like, it doesn't have to always go through EP40, but the fact that it never goes there for the one-timer is an absolute mystery. And like, a guy can't give himself passes for the one-timer. He's got to put himself in position. They've got to work to get the defense rotating so it frees up space, and then put it in the wheelhouse and let him fire it. And I'm beside myself and at a total loss to understand why we don't see it more than we do.
I think that we should now be having a discussion if Elias Pettersson isn't shooting the puck on the power play, or, whatever advantage that they have, it's on Elias Pettersson to not do it. It's not because he's not getting the puck. Like that, the other 4 guys on the ice, or 5 if they have a man advantage, should be getting that guy the puck. And that's who they should be looking for. Not because he's the highest paid or whatever it is. It's because the guy has the best shot on that team.
Yeah. The update on Evander Kane, this comes from Ian McIntyre, who's in Denver. Adam Foote said Evander Kane got a scare late in the game with a skate to his forearm, said the skin was lacerated, but Foote thinks that Kane will be okay, avoided serious injuries. So a little bit of good news on a night that didn't have a lot for the Vancouver Canucks, but that's always scary when you're talking about skate cuts. And so
second time for Evander, too.
That's right.
He's had that happen before.
We'll hope to hear from Adam Foote in his entirety post-game, but we're going to get to Quinn Hughes here momentarily. Spatzilli bringing his nightly chat says, Rink Wide gang, stand up. No, we're pretty comfortable, actually, in the seats that we've got here. But point made, appreciate your contribution to the BC Mental Health Foundation. And ahead of Quinn Hughes post-game, Scott in the chat asking, any updates on Hedl, Höglander, Bluger, Forbert, Demko? Höglander is on the trip, practiced on Monday, took the morning skate this morning. So that's 2 sessions now, both in a non-contact jersey. But I don't think he's an option for either of the games this weekend, but a practice Thursday, a game day skate Friday, probably won't have a game day skate on Saturday, and I would imagine Sunday's a day off. They've got 4 games here on the homestand. Maybe by the middle of the homestand, the game's next week. Again, we'll need to find out, see if he's at practice with the group on Thursday back here. But yeah, Nils Höglander's getting closer, and his timeline has lined up with, I know people question Canucks and medical reports and all this kind, but they said 8 to 10 weeks, and that's kind of exactly where we are. So he's on track, and I do think that by the middle of the month, we'll see Nils Höglander playing games. So that's the good news. Demko apparently has been skating. We heard this before he played against Winnipeg and left after a period. So the fact that he's on ice, good, I guess. I don't know. I mean, one thing to skate on your own, it's another, obviously, to get into game action. And we shall see. We should note that tonight is 3 weeks to the day since he left that Winnipeg game. So it's going to be more than 3 weeks for Thatcher Demko. Teddy Bluger has gone missing in action. Nobody knows. There was a setback not that long ago. Same with Forbert and Hedl. We've heard that he's skating, but again, for him, great. Go for a twirl. Yes, it's a step in the right direction, but it's all about taking contact for him. And I don't think anybody's out there smacking him into the boards if he's just out there testing himself, going for a skate. So there you go. I'm sure we'll get more updates as we go when they come back off the road here home for 4. All right, let's get to the captain. In the wake of a 3-1 loss, offense an issue now for the hockey club. Here's Quinn Hughes post-game.
Do you have some takeaways from the road trip as a whole?
I mean, I thought tonight we played pretty good. LA was a stingy game for us. Good points in Anaheim, obviously. Probably would have wanted the San Jose one back, but I mean, it's hard right now. It's a lot of hockey. Yeah.
I mean, wins are the most important thing, but can you get some confidence from a game like this against Avalanche?
I don't know. I mean, like you just said, wins are the most important thing. If you lose, but you lose 3-1 and not 5-1 or whatever not, you're still losing. Can we build from it? Yeah, for sure. But at the end of the day, it's still 0-0 to start the next game. You got to be ready to go.
Do you feel like you guys played well enough to get more than 3 points out of this trip?
Yeah, maybe. I think that we probably could have won San Jose. You obviously could have won LA, won Anaheim. Tonight played well, but I mean, they were obviously better in the second, but I thought we had some good looks in the third.
You obviously have players to punish. Was it a mix-up between you and Max on coverage on that rush? Or I know you stopped skating, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I mean, he made a nice play. I think I should, hold middle there just because that's the dangerous guy there. And, yeah, just leave it at that.
He who shall remain unnamed.
Some takeaways from the road trip.
Nobody mentioned Nate McKinnon, but I think we all know who he was talking about there. Quinn Hughes asked about, actually, that was the Brock Nelson goal.
Yeah.
But McKinnon with 2, Avs win by a score 3-1. I don't disagree with Quinn. Like the San Jose game, they outplayed them at 5-on-5, but special teams matter, and they lose by 1. Like they were in it. And obviously Los Angeles, you get to overtime. You'd like to think it's a coin toss, but didn't do much with overtime, just the one shot on goal then. So there were opportunities to get a few more points along the way, but the better team won this hockey game, and this is what the Avs do. They're 12-0-1 in their last 13 games. They're 14-0-3 now. Picked up points in 17 straight since their lone regulation loss of the season against the Boston Bruins back in the 3rd week of October.
Producer Jacob was talking about before we went on, like, is it the Avs Cup to lose? We talked about this, like, just kind of looking at, when I looked at basketball as a reference, nobody was better than the Oklahoma City Thunder last season. Everyone knew that they were going to win. Is that kind of the way that hockey is a little bit? Or I think it's anyone's game when the playoffs start, especially in hockey.
Yeah, for me, playoffs are always funny because there can be a team that just matches up well, or you run into, and we've seen this recently where you can run away with everything. Ask Tampa from the year that they put up 135 points, or the Boston Bruins, right? You can do everything you want and everything right in the regular season, and then it's about beating the same opponent 4 out of 7, and if you run into a red-hot goaltender or one of those teams that gets on a roll down the stretch just to qualify for the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, I think we all know now that regular season and playoffs are different, but my goodness, this is a team that just looks locked in right now and being led by the best player in the National Hockey League. I don't think there's a whole lot of doubt about that. This segment of Rink Wide brought to you by your Pacific Toyota dealers and the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid, and it's a no-compromise approach to electric vehicles that offers the best of both worlds. Drive up to 72 kilometers on battery alone. That's enough to get you from downtown to the rink to the grocery store and then home to recharge. It seamlessly transitions from electric mode to the gas engine for a combined range of 962 kilometers. No sacrifices when it comes to horsepower or style. It's got a sleek, low, wide exterior and sophisticated interior. And we always tell you that it's loaded with tech that's actually easy to use. And right now, you can lease a 2025 Prius plug-in hybrid SE from $99 weekly at 3.49% APR for 64 months with $3,600 down. That includes a $3,000 discount. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. All right. Power play is 0 for 12 in its last 3 games. It'll score again, but we also knew that it wasn't going to score one of every 3 opportunities as it did there for a 5 or a 6 game stretch, 8 game stretch. Actually, it scored in 8 straight games, and right now has gone cold tonight. Discipline on both sides, just the one power play each way. So it's hard to get too worked up about a power play that didn't score on its only attempt of the night.
What'd you say it was 0 for 12 in the last 4? 3.
Yeah.
Any signs of coming to life? Like, I think, well, other than today was the outliers.
The San Jose game that's the one, right?
Yeah.
Like, And two of the power plays were late when Petey got drilled from behind repeatedly. And but there were 6 power plays in the run of that game, and they just didn't do a whole lot with them. So that was the frustrating one against Los Angeles the other night, 0 for 3. This one, 0 for 1. So it starts with drawing penalties. And again, they were chasing for much of this game, and that's what Colorado does. So, yeah, I mean, this was a 5-on-5 game, and that's becoming a concern is the offensive generation at 5-on-5 for the Vancouver Canucks. So that's the bigger issue, I think, for me. And when it gets to 5-on-5 and offensive generation, like, look, we talk about Quinn Hughes, just the 2 points in his last 6 games. Elias Pettersson's gone a little bit quiet after a nice run in the month of November. He had 14 points in 14 games, but Elias Pettersson has set up 1 goal in his last 7 games. It was the falling empty netter to Drew O'Connor. That's the only goal that Petey has set up in the last 7 games. So the top of the lineup, it's not happening. Kiefer Sherwood's still this team's leading goal scorer with 12, even if he's not in the top of the lineup. He's their leading goal scorer. He's gone quiet. And then lower in the lineup, I mean, they get the lone goal from Linus Karlsson. I'm going to ask you. You like to ask me questions. I'm going to ask you.
Let's do it.
Will David Kampf have a point by the time the Christmas break rolls around?
Will David Kampf have a point, or Lucas Reichel get back into the lineup? I'm going to say no.
No?
I'm going to say no.
So the rest of November, we're going to continue to do this?
The rest of December.
Or December. It's 7 games now for Kampf. No goals, no assists, but still holding down that second-line center position. And I know
David Kampf isn't known for his offense.
I know that,
yeah.
and so it's not on him, but he had 15 minutes of ice time. Like, how can they give out 2 assists on most goals? Or like, how can he not get a point playing in the top 6?
If David Kampf can't get a point, Lucas Reichel better be in the lineup at some point.
But he can't get points, or hasn't either. So again, it just comes back to how poorly constructed this roster is, and Reichel wasn't the answer, and clearly Kampf isn't the answer either. But the answer isn't on this roster right now. And so they're just going to continue to bang their heads against the wall. Like, I sort of feel for David Kampf. He wanted back in the National Hockey League. He saw Vancouver as an opportunity. That's why he signed here. But on pretty much any other team in the National Hockey League, this guy is not being asked to center the second line. And so it's hard to have offensive expectations. But again, a bounce. But you just wonder, like, what's it going to do to Brock Besser? Like, how can Brock be expected to score if his center does nothing to create plays? So it's a dangerous way to live, and it's part of the reason that the Vancouver Canucks have just the 1 win in those 7 games that David Kampf has been here. We talked about Kampf, 14 minutes, 42 seconds, wins 6 and loses 5. So he holds his own in the faceoff circle. But this idea that David Kampf was going to come in, and even though he didn't produce, he was going to take some of the defensive responsibility away from Elias Pettersson. And I just mentioned that it hasn't exactly been Petey lighting up the score sheet here, and not for a lack of trying. Like, he scored the nice goal in San Jose, almost scored, got the puck pretty much across the goal line to start the game in Los Angeles the other night, but not all the way. So there have been some moments there, but I do think that we're seeing that it was a little bit of a misguided notion that Kampf would come in, take on defensive responsibilities, and Petey was going to spread his wings.
No, it was just never going to happen. He's just not that type of player. The second line center that they need for Petey to spread his wings is Leon Draisaitl. Like, and that's never happening. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be someone of that caliber. It's got to be someone that good that you can be dependent on night in and night out. And if Elias Pettersson isn't going, that guy, the second line center, is going to take you into the fight. And those are nearly impossible to come by.
All right. Are we going to hear from Adam Foote? I'm just checking in with our producer, Jacob, here.
We're just getting it ready, I think. Yeah.
Well, let's do the line of the night then.
Okay.
And I am curious to hear Adam Foote's take on the game, but also the road trip and just the state of his hockey club right now. But in the meantime, we'll get to our Bet365 line of the night.
All right. The Winnipeg Jets lost in a bad way against the Buffalo Sabres. So much so that they had a players-only meeting.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
closed door.
Yes, closed door players-only meeting. So when that happens, it's like When a coach gets fired, the game after is always get the coach bump. This is the players-only meeting bump. So I'm taking the Winnipeg Jets. That game's actually a pick-em at minus 110 for both of them. And the Ducks and Utah Mammoth. Mammoth are slightly favored in that one, but I like just simple. Keeping it simple. The Winnipeg Jets, after their players-only meeting, to get the dub in Montreal, and the Anaheim Ducks to beat the Utah Mammoth, who are finding themselves in all sorts of trouble as well. But anyways, those two plus 264, not the greatest odds, but they're still positive odds. And whatever you bet, it's never ordinary. Bet365. Download the app. Get in on the game. Use code NATION. Bet365. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Utah Mammoth here because they're coming this way. And again, it's a busy weekend. We've seen a bunch of these. The back-to-back games on home ice for the Vancouver Canucks. It happens in a condensed schedule. They had the back-to-backs in San Jose and Los Angeles. It's basically a weekend occurrence now, or at least it feels like that. So, yeah, Utah here on Friday, a 6 o'clock start.
6 o'clock Friday night.
Like this one in Colorado.
See you there.
I don't know why it's a 6 o'clock start, but that's fine. We'll be here. Whenever it's done, we'll have Rink Wide for you after Friday night's game, and then again Saturday, which is the conventional 7 o'clock start with the Minnesota Wild in town to face the Canucks. All right, let's get back to Denver now. Here is Adam Foote after his team falls 3-1 to the Avs.
What did you think of your team's effort?
We played good. I mean, I hate that we lost 3-1 against a great hockey team. First one bounced, rebound right to the McKinnon, and we know he's there. We were a little bit off him, but it was, and then lost coverage on another one, and had a 2-on-1. So they're going to put those in, and but it looked like they didn't get too much tonight. But we had to bury a couple early. I think we had 2 or 3 breakaways in the first. For sure, 2 breakaways. I think the other one was a 2-on-1. It'd be nice to see one of those go down. But playing against a good team, and we got to make sure we get ours when we can, because they capitalize on the fewest mistakes.
Carlson's got 4 goals in his last 8 games, scored in both the games against Colorado, and he mentioned just saying that it's attributing to just confidence and getting more comfortable. But what would you attribute his success to lately?
He holds on to pucks down low. He's comfortable in hard areas. He can absorb a hit and make a play. He's gained some confidence, and I think he's really, the coaches are working well with him, and he's getting it. He's getting the structure, and he's a smart guy. So it was nice to see him have some success there.
I think Lecker-Mackey handled himself.
I liked it. I mean, Lecker did a good job. He's a smart hockey player, and it's a tough matchup too early. So he's smart. He's going to get bigger and stronger. Like, he's going to get thicker as time goes by. But he's got a lot of, he's calm. The puck doesn't panic. Right. He's not bad in the corners or in the tough areas, but as he gets more comfortable with this pace, and as he gets, more girth, I think he'll do some good stuff.
What can you tell us about Evander?
He just had a scare. He's going to be fine. I think he's going to be fine. I just talked to him. He got a skate in the wrist area, came down on him, just a fluke. But I don't see it kind of pierced him a little bit, but nothing. I don't think it's too deep. But I think he's had a cut there before, so a little bit of a scare, I think.
You mentioned a couple breakaways, but also a couple chances right in the slot. 2 guys missing the net. I think Petey had 1 or 2, and maybe Quinn has the third period too.
We had some really good looks. Our power play, we should have had a couple on the power play, and like you said, I think we had more A looks than they did. We were right there, and. There's a team. We didn't give them too much, but it just shows you, though, like you're a little bit off on a couple plays. They're a veteran team. They're gonna take advantage of that. But we were happy with a lot of looks we had. It'd be nice for one of them bear down and get one of those in.
All right, I'm going to take issue with the notion that the Canucks had better looks than the Colorado Avalanche.
We were right there.
I mean, that second period, Lehkonen was set up by Marty Necas, had an incredible chance. Jack Drury on a one-timer. Lincoln had to make a save there. We talked about the 2 goals that they scored. There were other opportunities. And that's not to say that the Canucks didn't have some looks, and I think it was Dan Murphy's question there. Like, Elias Pettersson in the slot in the third, and he fired it wide. There were other. Quinn missed the mark on 8 of his 12 attempts. But if we're talking quality, I mean, we went through the high dangers and the scoring chances. I don't think the Canucks had better looks than the Colorado. And the other thing, and I know what he means, but he said they could have had a couple on the power play. They only had one power play. If they score, then that's it. You can't get 2 goals on the same power play. So, but they did have they generated a few looks on the power play. That was fun. I get exactly what he's trying to say there. Bottom line, you can sense some frustration. He had praise for Karlsson and was asked about Lekkerimäki, but you can get the sense now that there is some frustration building, as there should be. I mean, they have 2 wins in their last 3 weeks or whatever it is. They beat Tampa Bay and they beat Anaheim, and that is it. And, a lot of years you'd say, hey, well, they're coming home. Here's an opportunity. But they have stunk on home ice all season long. So the idea of coming back to Rogers Arena doesn't guarantee them anything whatsoever as they start the first of 4. Utah, Minnesota, Detroit, and Buffalo, I think, are the other opponents on the homestand.
You're one team better than you in the National Hockey League. You're better than one team.
Yeah.
And they came to your house and slapped you. Like,
aren't they at a 2? Isn't Nashville still behind?
Nashville won tonight.
Yeah, but
they're
just
still
that pulls
22,
within
yeah.
So
They're
there are
2 teams better than
They're
you.
a single point out of last place, though, is
Yeah.
what the standings tell you. Yeah, I mean, no wonder the frustration is building. You could sort of hear it in Quinn's voice as well. They're not a well-constructed team, and right now nobody's going, and as a result, that's where they are, 1 win in 7. Next up is Utah on Friday. You mentioned this, though. Utah's in a bad way right now. Got throttled by the Sharks last night, 6-3. They're in Anaheim. As you pointed out, that's tomorrow night. So Wednesday, they're in Anaheim and making their way to Vancouver for the Friday night game. They've lost 4 in a row, all in regulation time. This is a team where if there was 8-2 at the 10-game mark. Since then, 4-10-3, 4 wins in the last 17. They've fallen below the playoff bar, and now I see in some circles that the Vultures are circling around Andre Tournier, the only coach that the Utah Mammoth have ever known. I have no idea if the seat is truly hot, but 4 wins in 17 after the start they got off to. Pete DeBoer is out there. There are other candidates, so just keep an eye if the free fall continues there for the Utah Mammoth. And the funny thing is, like, they're getting offense. Like Logan Cooley leads the team with 14 goals. Nick Schmaltz having a nice season. He's going to get paid somewhere. Clayton Keller, Dylan Gunther, J.J. Peterka's got 10 goals. Like, their offensive guys have been fine, and yet they've got the worst power play in the National Hockey League. And for some reason, they can't get saves. Like, Karl Vejmelka got the hook after giving up 3 goals on 9 shots last night against the Sharks. Utah is 27th in the league in save percentage. So they don't give up a lot of shots. Well, they don't get a lot of saves either. And so, hey, maybe the Canucks have bet their match here on Friday night.
Who knows? Something's got to give in that game.
That is true.
Someone has to win.
Yes, the beauty of today's National Hockey League, somebody has to win. It was Colorado that got the win against the Vancouver Canucks. 3-1 the final score. It was a losing night all around for the Canucks organization because the Abbotsford Canucks back home, they fall 3-2 to the Calgary Wranglers. So the farm team can't win. The big league team can't win either right now. All right, you're back with me on Friday.
Yes, sir.
Against those woolly mammoth. We'll see what that looks like. And again, it's the start of a 4-game homestand, so some home cooking. And we'll see if there are some results to follow or if the trades that are being talked about, maybe the teardown starts to commence here at some point with the team on home ice. We'll see what practice brings on Thursday in terms of some maybe bodies coming back. We'll also see if Evander Kane. It sounds like he's going to be okay, but Wednesday will be a full team day off after being out on the road, so they'll reconvene Thursday for practice and then games on Friday and Saturday. That is going to do it for us here at Rink Wide. Our thanks to Jake Lazar, the technical producer, helping us out behind the scenes. Thanks to everybody that brought it with a super chat. Contributions to the BC Mental Health Foundation are appreciated. Don't forget, check out Canucks Army for full post-game reaction here through the evening and into tomorrow as well. So if you haven't already, bookmark Canucks Army and make it part of your daily routine. For IRF, I'm Jeff. We'll do this again on Friday, but that's going to do it for this night. The final score one more time, Colorado 3, the Vancouver Canucks 1. Thanks so much for checking out Rink Wide Vancouver.